After leaping from the city wall, I was reborn. Returning to the day the crown prince was wounded, he shoved me into the cesspool, his eyes brimming with loathing. "Don't touch me, you disgust me." In my previous life, I carried the wounded Xiaozhe out of the wilderness. The emperor rewarded me with a royal marriage decree, making me the crown princess. Unexpectedly, while I loved him as if my life depended on it, he despised me to his core. On the third day of our wedding, he took a secondary consort to torment me. Later, when the nation fell and our home was destroyed, he abandoned me. His panic caused him to bump his wound, and he hissed in pain. I paid him no mind and took off running. "Xiaozhe, you can rot here. I will never have anything to do with you again in this lifetime." Guided by memories from my past life, I avoided areas where assassins might lurk, traversing mountains and valleys until I reached the official road back to the capital. My clothes were completely torn to shreds, and both my shoes were lost somewhere, disheveled and filthy. I flagged down an approaching carriage. This carriage looked extremely plain, with only a coachman and an old servant seated in the front. Likely a humble household, a family of modest means. "Old man, could you give me a ride?" I clung to the carriage's front, pleading with the old servant. He looked troubled. "Well, I must ask our young master first." The one inside the carriage was probably their young master. I peered inside and called out, "Young master, I've lost my family in these wild mountains. I can't return alone. Would you be so kind as to take me with you?" After a few breaths of silence, a voice from inside the carriage was exceptionally pleasant, yet bone-chillingly cold. "Why should I take a woman of unknown origin?" "I am not a woman of unknown origin. I am the legitimate granddaughter of the Marquis of Peace in the capital. You saved me. The Marquis of Peace will reward you handsomely." A low, derisive chuckle echoed from within. I hear the capital places great importance on the strict separation of the sexes. Wouldn't sharing a carriage with me tarnish your reputation? Humph. So they're from out of town. No wonder the journey's long. And this carriage is falling apart. No problem. Why not just marry me? Night was falling. If he refused to take me, I couldn't make it back on my own. With a sudden push, I climbed right in. "Aw, miss." The old servant couldn't stop me. Watching helplessly as I squeezed inside, the curtain lifted, revealing a strikingly handsome, icy face. Strange. This young master from a humble household, his attire simple and clean, yet his bearing radiated an undeniable nobility. His long, deep-set eyes seemed to howl with the frigid winds of the northern frontier, making one hesitate to meet his gaze. A man and a woman alone in a carriage together. If people saw, wouldn't you fear gossip? I paused for a moment, then smiled and sat down opposite him. Then why not arrange our betrothal immediately? That would silence any gossip. You, young master, are handsome and distinguished, and I, though plain, am not without charm. It would be a match made in heaven, with neither party at a loss. His gaze swept over my grimy face, and he smiled silently. What are you laughing at? Once you're clean, you're quite pretty. I raised my hand to smooth my messy hair when a pristine silk handkerchief suddenly landed on my knee. Before I could thank him, his gaze shifted away as he said indifferently, "Where is your home?" "Just tell Uncle Tongfu." Judging by his demeanor, he clearly didn't want to engage with me anymore. This man is quite something. I picked up the handkerchief, wiped my face, lifted the carriage curtain, and told the old servant where my home was. Just as I was about to continue chatting with him, his eyes sharpened. With a flick of his wrist, the curtain tore open, and from outside came the sound of something collapsing. Moments later, the old servant said, "Young master, he's dead." He closed his eyes and murmured, Let's go. No need to concern ourselves. Someone will collect the body." "Dead? What's dead?" Confused, I reached to lift the curtain, but his calm voice stopped me. Best not to look. He probably thought I'd be frightened, but I'd already seen it. A figure in black. A dart lodged in his forehead. Motionless. A minor incident. Likely an assassin had been pursuing him. I glanced at the man, resting his eyes, inwardly marveling. This man was truly formidable. If I followed him, he might just save my life. I lowered the curtain and sat up straight, my posture suddenly stiff. Before nightfall, the carriage entered the capital city and stopped at my family's doorstep. I bowed to the man. "Please, sir, tell me your name. I wish to visit you in the future to express my gratitude." He merely lifted the curtain and said indifferently, "It was nothing. Go home now." What a bore. Seems this marriage won't be happening after all. Then wait here for a moment. Don't leave yet. They'll come out to find you shortly. I gave him a few parting words before lifting my skirt and leaping down from the carriage. The servant at the gate, he saw me and froze. After a moment of recognition, he cried out in both shock and joy, "The young miss has returned. The young miss has returned." Soon, a crowd of maids and servants rushed out, carrying quilts to wrap me in. "Miss, you've finally returned." The old madam was nearly driven mad with worry. The wet nurse, choking back sobs, shielded me as she hurried me inside, calling out, "Old madam, the eldest miss has returned. Jiao jiao." A hoarse cry came from ahead. The old madam of the Jiang household, me grandmother, face streaked with tears, stumbled toward me. I had never seen her cry. Now she seemed just an ordinary old woman, but in her youth, she had fought enemies and averted disasters. The late emperor had personally enfeoffed her as a female marquise. She was the strongest woman I had ever known. I had always believed she didn't love me. In my previous life, I resented her strictness, convinced she favored only her granddaughter and cared nothing for me. My heart grew distant from hers. Later, she fiercely opposed my association with Xiao Zhe, insisting I marry a poor scholar instead. I thought she was harming me and turned against her outright. Only when I leaped from the city wall did I realize that the once poor scholar had become a high-ranking minister, while Xiao Zhe was utterly unworthy of my lifelong commitment. Gazing at my grandmother, now white-haired, A flood of emotions overwhelmed me. How could she not love me? In my past life, I must have been blind to misunderstand her. Grandmother. I fell to my knees before her, sobbing uncontrollably. Jiao Jiao was wrong. Grandmother. I shouldn't have disobeyed you. Startled, she pulled me into her arms, her aged eyes brimming with tears. Jiao Jiao, she asked, incredulous. What did you just call me? Grandmother. Grandmother. I choked out, clinging tightly to her. In my past life, we were estranged. After coming of age, I only ever called her lady and never once addressed her as grandmother. I never imagined that today, this single word grandmother would make her so overjoyed. Good. Good. Jiao Jiao has returned. That's what matters. Jiao Jiao is safe. That's what matters. Grandmother is so happy. Her aged body visibly trembled, her arms clutching me so tightly it felt as though she wanted to merge me into her very being. Oh, grandmother. I haven't thanked the person who saved me yet. I wiped my face and hurriedly led grandmother inside, retrieving a casket of gold from the bedside. But when we reached the doorway, the courtyard lay empty, devoid of any trace. That person had long since departed. Before the carriage entered the city, I had spotted the imperial guards from my past life, searching the mountains for the crown prince. After returning, I surmised the crown prince must have been rescued. He wasn't dead, and had surely come seeking retribution. After weighing my options, I closed my eyes and collapsed into grandmother's arms, feigning unconsciousness. When the physician came to examine me, I still mumbled incoherently, "Hurry and save the crown prince. Save the crown prince." 3 days later, the assassin was captured, and Xiao Zhe indeed sent men to demand accountability. Looking utterly haggard, I explained in a weak voice. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince sent me away. After leaving, I intended to seek help immediately, but my body failed me fainted. I have failed His Royal Highness. Before the envoys could respond, my grandmother slammed her python-headed staff into the ground. The startled men stumbled back 3 paces. My Jiao Jiao is already this ill. She cries out in her dreams to save the crown prince. What more do you want? She's a frail woman. Even if she hadn't fled, what could she possibly have done? Do you want her to pay with her life before you're satisfied? Madam, we were merely following whoever gave the orders. Let them speak for themselves. Well, take our leave. The men from the Eastern Palace, frightened, scattered like a flock of birds. No wonder my grandmother was so formidable. Her niece was the current empress, and she herself was a marquisess personally infeffed by the late emperor. Even the emperor and empress would show her deference. Don't be afraid, Jiao Jiao. With grandmother here, no one dares bully you. She stroked my head, gazing at me with tender eyes. Perhaps only in sickness could one witness such tenderness from her. Usually, her discipline was harsh and unforgiving. The slightest misstep earned a slap on the palm. Truthfully, it was all for my own good. Had she truly not cared, she would have ignored me. Why couldn't I see that in my past life? A pang of sadness washed over me as I nestled against her arm and drifted off. Sudden, hurried footsteps echoed at the doorway. Moments later, 2 women, one dressed in red, the other in green, stomped inside. Ah, Wu. The gods have blessed you. You've returned safely. I didn't need to look up to know it was my stepmother and stepsister, those 2 pests. They must have just returned from visiting relatives. Sister, you're unharmed. That's wonderful. My stepsister pressed a handkerchief to her flushed eyes, feigning deep concern for me. In my past life, I'd been deceived by her innocent facade, treating both mother and daughter with utmost kindness. It wasn't until the 3rd day after my wedding to Xiao Zhe that my stepsister, Jiang Tsiue, appeared in his bed, sobbing. Sister, please forgive me. That's when I saw her true colors, gripping the quilt. I watched their charade with cold eyes. Jiang Tsiue's gaze met mine. For a moment, she seemed startled, retreating guiltily to my stepmother's side. Just then, another figure entered, bringing a chill breeze. It was my father. I told you. Awu is fine. Look how frantic you two have become. Urging the carriage on non-stop until it nearly broke down. Father removed his cloak and bowed to grandmother. Mother, your son has returned. Grandmother nodded, her expression tinged with displeasure. Yet she refrained from reprimanding him. Jiang Xiue glanced at me, her eyes darting. Opening her mouth as if to speak, I already knew what she would say. In my past life, she played the role of the perfect daughter before father, constantly conspiring with my stepmother to sow discord, driving a wedge between me and my father. In my father's eyes, I became an ill-mannered, disloyal, and unfilial girl. Meanwhile, she was made to look like a pitifully obedient daughter, stealing all of father's affection. Today, I would not tolerate her repeating those old tricks and letting the villain succeed. Ao greets father. Before Jiang Xiue could speak, I covered my mouth with a cough, weakly crawling up to pay my respects to my father. Grandmother hurriedly held me down. Enough. Jiao Jiao. There's no need for formalities when you're so ill. Lie back down. Au. Lie down. My father sat on the edge of the bed, watching me with a sigh. After this illness, you've become much more sensible. My eyes reddened as I grasped his sleeve. Father, through this ordeal, I've finally understood how well you've always protected me. I was wrong. I won't be willful or reckless anymore. I won't make you angry again. My father paused, his expression softening considerably. The tenderness I hadn't seen in his eyes for so long returned. No matter how many misunderstandings Wed had before, I was still his biological daughter. Blood is thicker than water. He wouldn't stay angry with me forever. You silly girl, he said. I've never truly been angry with you. As long as you remember this lesson and don't act recklessly again, I'll be at ease. Jiang Xiue watched from the side, her face filled with astonishment. How could she have imagined that Jiang Wu, that rebellious girl who argued with her father daily, would suddenly change her ways? The stepmother discreetly reached out and nudged Jiang Xiue. Jiang Xiue jolted awake, then hurried to the bedside, squeezing out 2 tears. She pleaded earnestly, "Sister is safe." It's such a relief. After hearing the news, Mother and I rushed to the temple overnight to burn incense. It truly was the Bodhisattva's blessing. Hilarious. I went to such lengths to escape, and now it's her achievement. Hearing this, my father turned to look at her, smiling with relief. Xiue is a good child too. These past days, worrying about your sister. You couldn't eat or sleep properly. You've been through a lot. In a couple of days, your mother will be entered into the family registry for the ancestral rites. There will be much to do. You shouldn't tire yourself further. Go back and rest well. Oh right. My stepmother and father had been married for over half a year, yet she still hadn't been entered into the family registry. I recall in my previous life, during the ancestral rites, a string of firecrackers suddenly exploded beside my ear. Startled, I cried out a breach of decorum before the clan. I was scolded for lacking propriety, and my father, ashamed, shunned me for a long time. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiue, standing beside me, remained perfectly composed. Unruffled by the commotion, she was praised by everyone for days afterward. Back then, I thought it was merely an accident. Now, I suspect it was far from simple. I concealed my thoughts and continued playing the dutiful daughter. At night, I summoned my personal maid to keep a close watch on Jiang Xiue and her daughter. The maid, Hua Zhaobi, was trained by my grandmother herself. Clever and alert, nothing escaped her notice. In my previous life, I regarded her as a spy sent by my grandmother to watch me, treating her with cold indifference. I never took her along when I went out. Tonight was the first time I'd ever spoken to her properly. Miss Zhao Bai murmured cautiously before leaving. I can't help but feel, you've changed somehow. I smiled at her. Then tell me, how have I changed? She scratched her head. I can't quite put my finger on it, but you've definitely changed for the better. Oh, I don't mean to imply you were bad before. She covered her mouth and hurried away. Of course I've changed, having experienced death firsthand. I'm no longer the naive young miss I once was. This lifetime, all who wrong me, owe me, or harm me will meet a bitter end. I hadn't misjudged the situation. The very next day, Zhao Bi uncovered the truth. Jiang Xiue and her stepmother were indeed plotting against me. On the day of the ancestral rites, I was escorted to the ancestral hall. As juniors, Jiang Xiue and I stood at the very back. The ceremony concluded with firecrackers and the clanging of gongs and drums. After the clan elder finished the final blessing, I caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. The hand behind Jiang Xiue twitched, and a smirk touched her lips. I smiled too, covering my mouth with a cough. A series of loud bangs erupted, followed immediately by my stepmother's shrill scream. Jiang Xiue startled, staring in shock toward the main hall. A string of firecrackers, for some reason, had exploded beneath her skirt. Sparks scorched her dress and splattered her face. Oh dear, what happened? Worried, I pushed past Jiang Xiue and rushed to my stepmother. The firecrackers had finished exploding. She sat on the floor, disheveled, having knocked over several ancestral tablets, weeping. Mother, please rise. Wipe your face. How can you behave so improperly before our ancestors? I pulled out a handkerchief and hurried to clean her face. The surrounding clan members gradually turned grim. Jiang Yu, get up at once. What kind of spectacle is this? My father hurried over to help her up, demanding, how did those firecrackers get thrown in here? It was sister. Jiang Xiue pointed at me tearfully, her voice filled with indignation. Just now, sister coughed once and gave someone a look, and suddenly the firecrackers exploded. In an instant, all eyes turned to me. That girl really panicked and lost her mind. I began coughing violently. Cough, cough. Xiue, you're being unreasonable. Everyone knows I'm gravely ill, coughing day and night. Just now, I couldn't help it. It's not my fault I'm sick. And as for you saying I gave someone a signal, that absolutely never happened. My father frowned and shouted outside. Where's the kid who lit the firecrackers? Coming. Several men dragged a young boy over. The boy saw my father and immediately pleaded, Uncle, I didn't throw those firecrackers. I was just about to light them in the courtyard when that little beggar kid barged in and snatched them away, causing this whole mess. He pointed outside. A younger child was hiding behind the door, grinning as he peered inside, spotting everyone's gaze. He scrambled away. Someone murmured, just a prank, right? Whose child is this? So mischievous. And the adults don't even discipline him. My father glanced at Jiang Xiue, his expression hardening. What's your problem? Making baseless accusations and slandering your sister in front of everyone. Jiang Xiue paled. Father, hurry and help your mother up. Is this not embarrassing enough? My father angrily pulled Jiang Yu up, apologized to the clan chief, completed the final rites, and then led us home with a dark expression. He personally escorted me back to my room, instructing me to rest well and recover. As for Jiang Xiue, ever since her return, the look in my father's eyes whenever he glanced at her held a hint of displeasure. That night, Zhao Bi brought reward money for the two children from earlier. Returning, she beamed with satisfaction. So satisfying, miss. Jiang Yushi and her daughter tried to harm us. Humph. Serves them right for trying to steal a chicken only to lose a sack of rice. No sooner had she finished than grandmother's voice echoed from the doorway. Who dares say stealing a chicken only to lose a sack of rice? Zhao Bi and I froze, both kneeling instantly. Grandmother stood firm, leaning on her python-headed staff, her voice seething. You have the nerve. Grandmother must have discovered what I'd done. She had always despised evil and detested such dirty tricks. No amount of explanation would help me now, so I simply spread my hands wide and offered them up. Grandmother, Awu has erred. Please strike me. Do you know where you went wrong? I went wrong. I went wrong by resorting to underhanded tactics against others. No sooner had the words left my mouth than grandmother raised her cane and cracked it against my back. Her chest heaved with fury. An unmarried girl like you doing such things, if word got out. What would people say? Where would the Jiang family's honor be? Honor. Honor, always honor. In my past life, I spent a lifetime pretending to be virtuous and magnanimous for the Jiang family's honor. Living like a turtle hiding in its shell. It was suffocating. Yet I dared not show my anger. Grandmother meant well. This lifetime, I mustn't anger her again. Yes. Awu knows she was wrong. I bowed my head, obediently admitting my fault. It seems the time has come to arrange a match for you. To temper your spirit, lest you cause more trouble. Grandmother sighed. Reflect on your actions at home. In a few days, the young master from the Lin family of Liangqing will arrive in the capital. He's a fine lad. When he comes, you shall meet him and see what you think. What was bound to happen has finally come. In my past life, I stubbornly refused to meet that Lin family brother. Yet he later became a high-ranking minister, posted to govern a distant province. When the capital fell, he was spared. This time around, if I truly marry him, perhaps I can leave the capital with my family much sooner. Then, even if the barbarians breach the city walls, our family will remain safe. I nodded obediently and agreed. Yes, Awu understands. Grandmother paused, likely surprised by my sudden compliance. You're not deceiving me, are you? Does your heart still yearn for the crown prince? If Awu still yearned for the crown prince, she wouldn't have abandoned him and fled that day. After a long pause, grandmother nodded. Very well. Does your hand hurt? I shook my head with a smile. It doesn't hurt anymore. Grandmother didn't strike too hard. Should have hit harder. Now, you must stop causing trouble. I'll deal with the Jiang family myself. Understand? Grandmother gave me a reproachful glare, scolded Xiaobi a few more times, then returned to her own quarters. Grandmother confined me at home to reflect on my actions, forbidding me from going anywhere. 10 days later, the Empress summoned me, saying she wished to speak with me in the palace. The current Empress is grandmother's niece. She's always wanted me to marry Xiaozhe. Xiaozhe isn't her biological son, though raised under her name since childhood. He's never been particularly close to her. In fact, he's somewhat resentful toward her. I suspect this is also the main reason Xiaozhe dislikes Meihe, refuses to be arranged by the Empress. Before I left, grandmother slipped me a box of pastries. Jiao jiao. The crown prince has been in the palace these past few days. You should go see him while you're there. Last time you ran off and left him behind, it wasn't exactly proper. You ought to apologize to him, lest he hold a grudge. I opened the box and nearly fainted from the scent. Xiaozhe. As if he deserves it. Humph. Back when I visited the palace, I'd bring him pastries I baked myself, only for him to toss them aside. Now, even if he begged on his knees, he'd never taste another thing from my kitchen. On the way to the capital, Zhao Bai and I polished off every last crumb of grandmother's pastries. Then we bought the cheapest coarse-grain flatbreads from a street vendor and packed them into the food box. Upon entering Cunning Palace, I paid my respects to the Empress. As always, she pulled me into conversation, subtly probing whether I still harbored feelings for Xiaozhe. In my past life, I saved Xiaozhe, and she seized the opportunity to petition the emperor for our marriage. This time, I abandoned Xiaozhe and fled. News that spread throughout the city, leaving her in a difficult position. I pretended not to grasp her hints, feigning ignorance throughout. Finally, unable to press further, she dismissed me, instructing me to seek out Xiaozhe for a talk. carrying the food box. I waited for Xiao Zhe in the imperial garden. While the little eunuch went to fetch him, I stood beneath a tree, hiccuping in the wind. Several sparrows hopped about on the ground, pecking at something unseen. Footsteps approached. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted Xiao Zhe, tall and imposing. He wore a black brocade robe that flattered his figure. His expression was icy, radiating an almost intimidating aura. His injuries had healed remarkably quickly. I lifted the food box, about to turn and call him over, but suddenly changed my mind. Calm and composed, I lifted the lid. Why did you bring this kind of? Before Xiao Zhe could finish, I'd already crumbled the pastry and scattered it for the sparrows covering the ground. He choked, his outstretched hand awkwardly clenching into a fist before retracting. Had never liked the things I brought before either, but out of courtesy, had always accepted them only to discard them later. Seeing him humiliated this time gave me an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. I dared not laugh, pretending only now to notice him as I set the food box on the ground and curtsied. This humble maiden greets your highness. He acknowledged me with a single syllable, then resumed his cold, haughty demeanor. Jiang Wu, since you've come to apologize of your own accord, I shan't hold it against you that you abandoned me last time. Who said I came to apologize? I brushed crumbs from my hands and replied nonchalantly. Last time, you were the one who sent me away. After I left, I actively sought help to rescue you. What wrong have I done? Xiao Zhe choked, his face turning pale. Had expected me to beg forgiveness, only to be humiliated instead. Naturally, he felt utterly mortified. Then why did you come here? The Empress summoned me. I sighed. The Empress commands cannot be refused. Your Highness, let me be frank. She's always wanted me to marry you. 4 years. To please her, I kept circling around you, but now I want to live for myself. I refuse to waste any more time on you. Xiao Zhe's pupils contracted. He hadn't expected me to say this. His face flushed from pale to crimson, a sight quite striking. Waste time. He was furious. After a long pause, he spat out. Fine. Very well. I hope you stick to your guns. From now on, never show your face before me again. As you wish. I curtsied cheerfully and walked away in high spirits. Not long after leaving, I realized I'd forgotten the food box and turned back to retrieve it. At the corner, I suddenly heard the eunuch beside Xiao Zhe ask, Your Highness, Miss Jiang used to cling to you like a leech. Why is she acting so strangely today? It's as if she's a different person. Could it be? She was pretending all along. Are they discussing me? I peeked around the corner, half my head exposed. Xiao Zhe's face was grim, his fists clenched tightly as he sneered. Nothing but a girl's petty tricks, using such methods to attract the sovereign's attention. Ha! Just watch. They'll deliberately ignore her. Let's see how long she can keep up the act. The young eunuch pondered for a moment before saying, It doesn't seem like it. Your Highness, if she truly wanted to attract you, she wouldn't have run off and left you last time. Your Highness, could it be that you're just imagining things? What a fearless little eunuch. I like him. I lifted my foot and walked over. Oh dear, I forgot the food box. The hair ornament on my head clattered like a cacophony of gongs and firecrackers as I swayed and twisted forward. Xiao Zhe turned his head and saw me, his handsome face flushing instantly. He glanced at the food box on the ground and awkwardly took a step back. You. How could you be so absent-minded? His voice was loud, but his tone lacked conviction. Gossip behind one's back, piercing like a dagger. Even the thickest skinned would blush at such humiliation. The eunuch stole a glance at Xiao Zhe, his own face flushing crimson as he sheepishly turned away. I picked up the food box, about to leave, but paused, turning back with wide, curious eyes. I asked Xiao Zhe, Just now, I overheard you say, What are you pretending? I didn't catch it clearly. Your Highness. What were you pretending? Xiao Zhe froze, his mind unusually slow to process the question, unsure how to respond. Hilarious. I glanced at the food box in my hand and said, "Ah, I get it. Your Highness must have taken a liking to this box and wants to use it for something." Right. What's there to be embarrassed about? My family has plenty of these. Here. Without waiting for his reaction, I shoved it into his hands. Xiao Zhe took it, his face flushing as red as a monkey's bottom. I curtsied and swayed my hips as I walked away. Long after I was out of earshot, I caught a glimpse of Xiao Zhe hoisting the food box and angrily smashing it onto a little eunuch's backside. After returning home, I didn't step outside again, focusing solely on waiting for Brother Lin to arrive. At the same time, I was devising a plan to move our entire family out of the capital. In my previous life, the frontier defenses collapsed, allowing barbarian hordes to reach the capital. Few in the city survived. With my meager abilities, I could never repel the barbarians or alter the nation's doom. The only solution I could conceive was persuading my family to flee. After Brother Lin became an official, he was assigned to a post outside the capital. Marrying him might spare us this calamity. After waiting several days before his arrival, someone organized a spring outing in the city's outskirts to fly kites. I had no desire to go, but Jiang Xiue insisted on attending. I remembered from my past life that it was at this very kite flying competition she had dazzled everyone and hooked up with Xiao Zhe. This lifetime, though I no longer cared for Xiao Zhe, Jiang Xiue wouldn't get her way either. I remember every disgusting thing she did to me after becoming a secondary consort. I had Xiaobi keep an eye on Jiang Xiue. That very night, Xiaobi reported that Jiang Xiue was indeed making a kite in her courtyard. Ever since she became part of my Jiang family, she'd been scrambling to befriend the capital's noblewomen. That's why her news reached me even before I got it. A rather beautiful kite, already half-made. But while crafting it, she was muttering filthy curses at you with her mother. "Miss, shall I secretly burn it for her?" "No. Let her finish it." What fun would burning it now be? The real pleasure lies in letting her get close enough to pluck her goal from a tree branch, only to snatch it away in an instant. I didn't disturb Jiang Xiue. After 3 days, on the day of the spring outing, I followed her in a carriage. Upon reaching Melong Lake, Jiang Xiue jumped down and ran to greet the young ladies she'd befriended. Xiaobi seized the chance to slip into her carriage and steal the box holding her kites. Truly beautiful. Jiang Xiue had put her heart into it. In my past life, I hadn't attended this gathering and didn't know what she'd made. This time, I've truly seen something. Too bad the purpose is impure. Even the most beautiful kite makes one sick. Xiaobi, come. Let's tear them apart for fun. Xiaobi hesitated slightly. But it's such a shame. "Miss, isn't this a bit wicked of us?" "Wicked?" I laughed. "Don't you know, all the young ladies in the capital say that I, Jiang Wu, as the eldest sister, bully my stepsister, am mean and jealous, a wicked woman. Since Jiang Xiue slanders me so viciously outside, and I can't clear my name, I might as well be wicked to the core. Wicked with a clear conscience. Come, tear." I handed Xiaobi a wing, about to tear it, when a deep, lingering male voice suddenly came from behind. "Why tear such a beautiful thing?" My hand froze, and I turned with surprise. It was indeed him. Long time no see. Never expected to run into him here. This time, he wore a black brocade robe embroidered with tiger patterns, making him appear even more handsome and noble. Last time I saw his carriage in tatters, I assumed he came from humble origins. Now it seems I was mistaken. "What are you doing here? Why shouldn't I be here?" He glanced at the kite in my hands and added, "This doesn't seem to belong to you." His question jolted me back to reality. I was here to tear it apart. If I didn't hurry, Jiang Xiue would return soon. With a sharp tug, I ripped it to shreds. Still feeling unsatisfied, I tossed it on the ground and stomped it into dust. It truly wasn't mine. I gathered the scraps back into the box and had Xiaobi return it. Wiping my hands, I asked him, "You won't tell anyone, will you?" He remained silent. "You saw it yourself, I'm no saint." But my eyes twinkled as I smiled. "I am your fiancé. After all, you mustn't tell anyone." He chuckled. "Since when did I have a fiancé?" "Ever since I stepped into your carriage." "What? You don't like it?" He paused a moment before countering. "Who wouldn't like a bright and cheerful young lady like Miss Jiang?" The spring breeze was gentle, and his features were so strikingly handsome that my heart began to race. "But if you knew who I truly am, you'd likely wish you could take back what you said today." "Then tell me, who are you?" He remained silent, his gaze fixed on mine. The faint smile on his face shifted into a look of disappointment I couldn't decipher. I waited a few breaths before urging, "Speak." Only then did he speak slowly. "I am Xiao Boyan." It felt like a thunderclap exploded in my mind, and my body stiffened. The ninth prince, Xiao Boyan. Indeed. Suddenly, I didn't know what to say. The ninth prince, Xiao Boyan. His mother was Consort Yan, a woman from the Miao tribes. 15 years ago, she personally orchestrated the witchcraft scandal that shocked the court and the realm, leading to the deaths of countless people. Later, Consort Yan was convicted, branded a criminal's wife, and executed. Xiao Boyan, disowned and cast aside, became a criminal himself. Exiled to Yanmen at the age of 10, though not demoted to commoner status, he remains without a title or fief to this day. Noticing my reaction, he remarked with a faint sneer, shocked, "You must know I am a criminal. Marry me, and you become a criminal's wife." Yes. Marrying him would make me a criminal's wife, doomed to a life without peace. The Jiang family, a prestigious clan for 100 years, had only me left in this generation. I was finished, and the Jiang family's glory would be extinguished. I bit my lip. What criminal? Don't lose heart. Perhaps one day, with the Emperor's boundless grace, this matter will be put to rest. I haven't. He smiled, his eyes glinting like shards of ice. What are you afraid of? Rest assured, I know you're just joking. I haven't taken it to heart. Hearing him say this, my conscience pricked instead. Xiaobi waved at me and whispered, "Don't linger here too long. Jiang Xiue is coming back." I glanced at Xiao Boyan, then turned and ran off. Once in the crowd, I forced myself to forget what had just happened and greeted everyone. The young ladies of the capital all recognized me, but since I disliked socializing, and Jiang Xiue was close to them playing the innocent victim daily, crying about how I bullied her, their attitude toward me was lukewarm. After some polite chatter, the host suggested everyone bring out their handmade kites for a contest. Jiang Xiue dashed back to the carriage first, proudly hauling out her box. "Xiue, seeing how you treasure it, you must have put great effort into this one." Of course. The young ladies from each household opened their boxes, displaying their handmade kites. When it came to Jiang Xiue, she clutched her box tightly, refusing to open it, and instead turned to me. "Sister, you're the most skilled and talented. Everything you make receives universal praise. With you here today, how could I dare be the first to open my box? Sister, why don't you bring out your kite first and let us all see it?" She knew full well I hadn't made one. Yet she deliberately tried to pin the blame on me, didn't she? I shrugged helplessly. "I didn't make one. I can't make one. I'm just here to watch you all have fun." A wave of laughter rippled through the crowd, many faces twisting with disdain. Too bad. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I care little for appearances. I felt no shame whatsoever. In that case, Xiue, open your box and show us. All eyes turned to her. Jiang Xiue crouched down and proudly opened the box. But the moment she saw its contents, her face drained of color. The box was filled with shards, her kite. Now nothing but fragments. How could this be? Without the stunning revelation she'd imagined, Jiang Xiue lost her composure. Tears streamed down her face like a river. My kite was destroyed. She sobbed, clutching the shards like a child whose candy had been stolen. Her gaze swept around the room before fixing on me. It was you. You must have ruined my kite. I took a step back, feigning innocence. How dare you accuse me? Did you actually see me break it? Who else could it be? That's not certain. Maybe your kite got damaged by the carriage's jostling. Or perhaps it snapped for no reason. You didn't witness it breaking. Don't make baseless accusations. I fanned myself with my handkerchief and went off to admire others' creations. Without her kite, Jiang Xiue was reduced to a mere spectator, forced to watch other young ladies steal the spotlight with bitter resentment. Strange I hadn't seen the Crown Prince or Xiao Boyan anywhere. This spring outing kept the genders separate. The ladies gathered on the left bank of the stream, the gentlemen on the right. Right now, they were playing games like arrow throwing. I sat on the grass, bored stiff for the entire morning. At lunchtime, everyone gathered together. Jiang Xiue must have said something to the ladies she was with, because they suddenly decided to champion her cause and take me to task. They were all somewhat talented, so one after another, they composed poems and recited them for everyone to hear. Mostly, they were just sour verses mocking me for being mean and jealous. I watched their little show with cold indifference, then picked up a brush and said, since everyone's feeling so poetic, they'll compose a verse to match the mood. All eyes turned to me, expecting a spectacle. Only when I finished writing, stood up, and pinned my poem to the tree did they fall silent. A bunch of ugly hags, with foul mouths and endless complaints, brains dumber than pigs, talent scarce as hen's teeth. Jiang Wu. Someone stomped angrily, pointing at me and demanding, who are you insulting? I rolled my eyes. When you throw stones at dogs, the one hit cries loudest. Whoever feels targeted, that's who I'm talking about. You're utterly crude and insolent. Can't you come up with anything nicer to insult us? Is your pig brain so lacking in vocabulary? No wonder you're all paired with someone like Jiang Xiue. Each of you looks like a block of elm wood. You can't even curse properly. If you taught dogs to read, they'd curse better than you. These few lines truly ignited their fury. The ladies who were with Jiang Xiue turned bright red with rage and lunged to rip my hair ornaments. Jiang Wu, they'll tear your mouth off. I wasn't scared. I grabbed hold of them and started flailing wildly. Originally, this spring outing kept the genders separate. The boys on the other side of the stream couldn't hear what the girls were saying. But now, with these girls fighting me and screaming like pigs being slaughtered, all the young men across the stream instantly stood up to watch the spectacle. Just as I was getting into the swing of the fight, I suddenly heard the Crown Prince's voice. Stop. Xiao Ze's voice wasn't loud, but it carried immense authority. The young ladies, hearing it, immediately let go. Your Highness. Xiao Ze had appeared without warning. His face darkened as he approached, his gaze sweeping over each of us. The fight had been thoroughly satisfying. The women who'd ganged up on me now had scratched faces, disheveled hair, and were covered in dust, a sight to behold. Under Xiao Ze's gaze, they belatedly felt ashamed, covering their faces, afraid to be seen. Jiang Wu, fighting like a shrew in front of everyone. Have you no sense of shame? Come here. What? So many people were fighting, why was he singling me out? I was so flustered I couldn't move. He stepped right up, grabbed my wrist, and practically dragged me into the woods. What are you doing? Let go of me. Xiao Ze released his grip, his voice filled with indignation. Jiang Wu, look at yourself. You're a disgrace. Causing such a commotion today, don't you fear the shame? I laughed bitterly. Embarrassing. Who am I embarrassing? My reputation's already ruined. What worse could a fight do? But them, they're all proper young ladies who treasure their reputations like their lives. After getting beaten like that today, they'll be laughed at for the rest of their lives. That's the real disgrace. And you're still gloating. Of course I'm gloating. Whoever cares loses. I've got nothing to lose, why shouldn't I gloat? He was speechless with anger. You're beyond redemption. Who would dare marry someone like you? Is that any of your business? What does it matter to you? He choked, then pressed on. The Empress is your aunt. I'm your cousin by marriage. How could it not matter? I gave a cold laugh. No need for my cousin's concern. My grandmother has already betrothed me to an elder brother from the Lin family. They'll come to our estate in a few days to discuss the marriage. The Lin brother is the most kind-hearted man who wouldn't hold such a trifling matter against me. He froze. After a long moment, he asked me in disbelief. Last month you swore you'd marry no one but me, and now this month you're discussing marriage with someone else. Your Highness. That chapter ended long ago. I told you back in the palace I don't like you, and I refuse to waste any more time. You truly are fickle. Oh, right. I rolled my eyes at him and strode off with deliberate swagger. My face is dirty. I'm done playing. Puffing with indignation, I headed toward the carriage. Xiaobi hurried to meet me. Just as we were about to reach the carriage, a hand suddenly grabbed my sleeve, pulling me behind a tree. Startled, I recognized the face and quickly covered my face with my hand. Xiao Boyan snorted lightly. What are you hiding for? I saw you already. Only then did I hesitantly lower my hand and ask him, where did you go just now? I didn't see you anywhere. I dislike crowds. I was staying in a quiet spot. If you dislike crowds, why come here? The crown prince commanded it. I had no choice. So Xiao Zhe summoned him. Are their brotherly bonds truly that strong? As I pondered this, he suddenly drew a small porcelain vial from his robe and offered it to me. This is premium wound medicine. I carry it with me always. Clean your wound and apply a little. You carry it year-round. Those that mean you're often injured. He's stationed at Yanmen Pass, a harsh, frigid frontier. He must have fought his way through countless battles. I took the porcelain vial, clutching it awkwardly. You saw me bully others. Saw me fight. Don't you despise me for being vulgar and self-degrading? He actually smiled. Why would I despise you? The so-called noble ladies and distinguished young men of the capital are the most hypocritical. Watching you fight them actually gave me a sense of satisfaction. For some reason, a weight lifted from my heart. I teased him arrogantly. Well, since you saw me fighting, why didn't you come help me? The words were out before I could stop them. He wasn't anyone to Mui, would he help? I shouldn't have joked like that. Xiao Boyan showed no reaction. Only saying, I was planning to step in if you couldn't handle it. Who knew you were so formidable? He smiled at me for a moment before adding, go clean your wounds and apply medicine. Your betrothal discussions are in a few days. It wouldn't do to show up bruised. Engagement. Oh no. He overheard my conversation with Xiao Zhe. I scrambled to explain. What engagement? I was just making that up. He's actually here for the imperial exams. We've never even met. There's not a single stroke of the brush yet. I only said that because the crown prince claimed I'd never find a husband. He smiled. How could you not find a husband? Besides, a woman's worth isn't measured by whether a man wants her. You needn't pay him any mind. Thank you. You're so kind. He was the only person besides my grandmother who ever said that. In the distance, Xiao Zhe had somehow approached. Spotting us, he called out loudly, Boyan. My legs trembled in fright. Xiao Boyan turned to him, bowing with measured courtesy. Your Highness. Xiao Zhe shot me a disgusted look. Boyan, why are you with her? Xiao Boyan glanced at me, lowering his eyes. Your Highness. I accidentally stepped on the hem of Miss Jiang's gown and was apologizing. Oh. Xiao Zhe exhaled in relief. What apology? She was likely careless herself and is now blaming you. Don't stand with her any longer. Come here, I have much to discuss with you. Yes. Your Highness. Xiao Boyan nodded. Gave me a brief nod. and strode toward Xiao Zhe. That bastard crown prince. I shot him a silent glare before pulling Xiaobi along and heading home. After returning home, I feared Jiang Ziyue would go cry to my father. So I didn't tend to the wound on my face. I played the victim first, finding my father and putting on a show of tears. When Jiang Ziyue returned, I was clutching my face, wailing pitifully. My father looked at her and asked irritably, "Why did you team up with outsiders today to bully your sister?" Jiang Ziyue froze, scrambling to explain. "I didn't team up with outsiders to bully her. My sister tore my kite first. The other young lady couldn't stand it and just said a few words to her. A few words. And you've left her face like this." My father's face flushed with anger. "Look at what you've done to your sister. How will she live her life now? And this kite you claim she tore, you have proof?" Jiang Ziyue stammered, unable to respond. Finally, she threw caution to the wind. She was the only one who didn't make a kite today. Clearly she's jealous of me. Madame Jiang Yu was nearly beside herself with anxiety. She'd been signaling to Jiang Ziyue for ages, but the girl paid her no mind. Finally, Madame Jiang Yu had no choice but to step in herself. "Master, please calm down. None of us were there today to know the truth. You know Ziyue has always been timid. How could she possibly bully Ao? And surely Ao wouldn't falsely accuse Ziyue. There must be a misunderstanding. The young ladies of the capital have always envied our Awu and Xiaiyue. It's entirely possible they're the ones stirring up trouble between them. This Jiang Yushur truly has a silver tongue. If father were to hear her words, he might even feel pity for Jiang Xiaiyue. Thinking she's been taken advantage of." I was about to speak up in concern when a furious shout rang out from the doorway. So it was someone else stirring trouble. In my opinion, its malicious intent the fox's tail can't stay hidden. Grandmother. I turned to see her glaring coldly at Jiang Yu and her daughter. Her teeth clenched. What scheming could possibly justify beating my precious Jiao like this? "Huh, your daughter stands by watching the fire burn, clean as a whistle, while my Jiao has her face shattered." Even if there was a misunderstanding, I've never seen anyone beat their own kin like this. It seems you two don't consider yourselves part of the Jiang family at all. The weight of her words sent Jiang Yushur tumbling to her knees. "Mother, Ziyue never meant it. Whether she meant it or not matters not. From this day forward, Jiang Ziyue is confined to her courtyard until her wedding day. Should she disobey, she shall be cast out of the Jiang household." Madame Jiang Yu was stunned, tears streaming down her face as she turned urgently to my father. My father hesitated, then hurried to support grandmother. "Mother, isn't this a bit? What? Are you pleading for them? Do you even know which one is your own flesh and blood?" Grandmother's glare instantly deflated my father. He stammered, "Not at all. Mother, whatever you say goes. I won't say another word." Grandmother snorted coldly, then turned to me, examining my wound with heartfelt concern. "Jiao, does it hurt?" It didn't hurt anymore. But I truly loved seeing grandmother care for me, so I squeezed out 2 tears and nodded pitifully. "It hurts. Oh dear. My poor child. Grandmother will summon the physician at once." She wiped the mud from my forehead and added, "You suffered harm, why didn't you come to grandmother first? Why seek out your father? He doesn't cherish you." My father immediately grew displeased. "Mother, how can you say that? I'm her biological father, how could I not cherish her?" Grandmother couldn't be bothered to argue. She gave him a cold stare. "Go find the doctor now." "Yes." My father glanced at grandmother, then sulkily ran off to fetch the physician. I sniffled and burrowed into grandmother's embrace. In my past life, I drifted apart from grandmother and turned against father. It had been so long since I felt such tenderness. From that day onward, Jiang Ziyue never came out to torment me again. I, too, began to feel anxious. Time was passing too quickly. By autumn, the barbarian tribes would breach Yanmen Pass and march straight on the capital. I had to find a way to move the entire family out before then. Or Persuade the court to reinforce Yanmen past defenses. In my previous life. It was likely after Xiao Boyan left Yanmen Pass that its defenses weakened, giving the barbarians their chance. But Xiao Boyan had been stationed outside the capital for 10 years. Now that had finally returned. He likely wouldn't want to go back to Yanmen. Who else could go then? Headache. Brother Lin was still nowhere to be seen, whether delayed en route or otherwise. Half a month later, my birthday arrived. Birthdays meant feasting, drinking, and sleeping well. That day, after lunch, I lay dozing on the swing when Xiaobi rushed in. News from the palace. She exclaimed, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince wishes to pay his respects for your birthday. Prepare to receive him. I was thoroughly displeased. What business does that dog of a crown prince have here? Most likely the Empress sent him. Really? Disturbing my peaceful slumber. Nothing to prepare. Well, see when he arrives. I closed my eyes and lay back down. When I awoke, dusk was already settling in. Rubbing my eyes and patting my aching waist, I made my way to the front hall. Xiaobi hurried to greet me. Miss. You're finally awake. His Highness the Crown Prince has been waiting for hours. She's already finished 2 pots of tea. I froze. Then why didn't you wake me? His Highness forbade it, saying he'd wait for you to wake naturally. Oh, well then. It's not my fault. I strolled leisurely into the front hall and saw Xiao Zhe, yawning. Oh, the prince has arrived. Xiao Zhe set down his teacup, his expression sour, eyes smoldering with suppressed anger. Finally awake. Jiang Wu, you knew I was coming, yet you slept through it all. I was speechless. You didn't call me. If you'd just sent someone to wake me, I would have gotten up. Besides, how was I supposed to know he'd be waiting here for so long? Hearing this, Xiao Zhe grew even angrier. His face turning pale. On the table sat a beautiful box. I reached out and picked it up. What's this? I opened the box to find a set of jewelry, all the latest styles, crafted from the finest materials, adorned with rubies and sapphires. It was exquisite. How beautiful. Is this for me? I happily picked up a hairpin and adorned my hair, admiring myself. Xiao Zhe grumbled. This is a set of jewelry specially crafted for you by Her Majesty the Empress. Consider it a birthday gift. So it was from Her Majesty the Empress. She's so kind. I thought it was from Your Highness. Watching me twirl around admiring myself, his expression softened slightly. He reached into his robe and said, I also have something for you. But I suppose Your Highness wouldn't have time to prepare a gift for me anyway. Even if you did, I wouldn't want it. I removed the hairpin and pouted. Lifting my gaze, I saw his face darken again. Huh, Your Highness. What are you doing with your hand in your robe? He glared at me, snapping irritably. Itch. Scratch it. After leaving me, Xiao Zhe went to speak with my father, both serving in the court. Their conversation likely revolved around official matters. No sooner had he departed than grandmother came looking for me, grasping my hand, joy lighting her eyes. She said, Jiao Jiao. Brother Lin has arrived in the capital. Go welcome him at once. I froze. Can't we just send the steward? Grandmother scolded playfully. How could that do? The Lin family and ours have been close for generations. The host must greet them personally to avoid rudeness. I'm too old to walk. And your father is busy. You going would be perfect, wouldn't it? Oh, come on, grandmother. Your scheme is so transparent even the Huns could hear it. You just want me to use this chance to get close to Brother Lin, don't you? I'm not stupid. I want go. I refuse. Just as I started to run, grandmother's face darkened. Oh, have I been spoiling you too much lately? Help. I was genuinely afraid she'd get serious bloodline pressure. You know, I stammered and protested, unwilling to go. Grandmother snapped sternly. Do you think I'd harm you? Hurry. Your Lin family brother's carriage is entering the city. Go meet him. I couldn't resist and had to board the carriage to greet him. Night fell. Lanterns lit the streets. Vendors selling oil, fruit, fans, and lanterns crowded the bustling thoroughfare. The carriage struggled to navigate through the throng. As we neared the south gate, I suddenly heard commotion ahead. Then, a shrill cry pierced the bustling scene. "Catch the assassin!" Screams erupted all around. Chaos erupting like a boiling pot. Xiaobi hurriedly lifted the curtain and exclaimed, "Miss, get out now." But the startled horse bucked violently, flinging her out. Panicked, I clung desperately to the windowsill, yet was still tossed about until I was dizzy and disoriented. My insides ached from the jolt. Just as I thought I was done for, I suddenly heard several commands to rein in the horses. And the carriage slowly came to a halt. The curtain was suddenly pulled aside. "Are you all right?" A familiar voice rang out. I looked up to see Xiao Boyan leaning over me. Like a god descended from the heavens. I nearly burst into tears. Ugh. I retched violently. Xiao Boyan supported me, not flinching, as if unconcerned about me vomiting on him. After recovering, I asked him, "Why are you here?" I was returning from outside the city when I happened upon the chaos within. Horses and carriages were fleeing wildly. From afar, I recognized your carriage and came. I shook my head and smiled. You intervened only because it was my carriage. If it hadn't been me, you wouldn't have cared. He gave a faint smile, replying matter-of-factly, "Naturally. Why would I concern myself with strangers?" I was momentarily stunned. I couldn't tell if it was his coldness that startled me, or if I was astonished that, in his heart, I was someone connected to him, someone worth saving. That last time outside the city, I stumbled into making him make an exception for me. Thinking of that, I felt a tiny flicker of happiness. The carriage curtain was yanked open again. Xiaobi's panicked voice rang out. "Miss, are you all right, ninth prince?" Xiao Boyan held no official title, leaving Xiaobi momentarily at a loss for how to address him. She simply called him ninth prince. He glanced at Xiaobi, helped me to my feet, and asked, "What were you planning to do out so late?" I froze. He watched me, waiting. I could only stammer out, I was going to pick up a distant cousin." It was meant to be a flimsy excuse, but to my surprise, he remembered my earlier words perfectly. He raised an eyebrow. Could it be that Lin family brother who wants to discuss marriage with you? Your family sent you to fetch him, so they must be quite pleased with him and eager for you two to be together." Not really. I didn't want to go. It was my grandmother who insisted I must. He nodded. He plopped down beside me. "I'll go with you." His expression was earnest. The southern part of the city is a bit chaotic right now. Going alone might not be safe. With me, nothing will go wrong. But what do I tell people? Just say I'm your servant. That's so embarrassing. Servant. The word felt awkward. Xiaobi sat outside as the carriage set off again, heading to wait at the south gate. I stepped down, glancing around with a heavy heart. Grandmother must have truly loved Brother Lin. In both lifetimes, she wanted me to marry him. If I fulfilled her wish, she would surely be overjoyed. Besides, Brother Lin later became a high-ranking minister. No matter how I thought about it, he was the perfect husband. Yet somehow, my heart felt restless. I didn't look forward to seeing him at all. Could it be because of Xiao Boyan? Startled by my own thought, I hastily fanned myself to dispel the sudden heat. Before half a cup of tea had been drunk, a young gentleman entered through the south gate, accompanied by attendants, clad in plain robes. He possessed a clean-cut demeanor and rather handsome features. Spotting the small banner bearing the character Jiang held aloft by Xiaobi, he strode directly toward us. With a respectful bow, neither humble nor arrogant, he addressed us. "I am Lin Jingyu of Yuzhou. Might I ask if you are from the Marquis of Pingan's household?" I hurried forward, curtsying slightly. "Cousin Lin, I am Jiang Wu. Grandmother sent me to fetch you. So it's my cousin. Tonight is her birthday. Yet she still troubles herself to come meet me. I truly feel unworthy of such kindness. Lin Jingyu looked quite embarrassed, his face flushing red. It's nothing. Grandmother was worried about the hardships of your journey and feared neglecting you. So she sent me. Cousin Lin. Where is your carriage? Lin Jingyu felt a pang of embarrassment. I have no carriage. I remembered Lin Jingyu was still a penniless scholar. Having walked all the way here, I felt embarrassed too. I'd driven out in a carriage. Grandmother hadn't reminded me, but why would she? She'd probably hoped we'd ride together. Her plans were quite clever. I gestured invitingly. Then you. Never mind. Let's walk back. Since I've come out of the capital, I'd like to stroll and see the sights. Very well. This Lin Jingyu was quite an easygoing fellow. After a few steps, he awkwardly struck up conversation, inquiring about Zhaoba's name, the coachman's name, and formally greeting them both. Finally, he asked Xiao Boyan's name. Xiao Boyan remained composed, bowing slightly. I am Wu Xiaojiang, the young lattice attendant. Greetings. Brother Wu. Lin Jingyu bowed to Xiao Boyan, then looked at him with regret. I see Brother Wu possesses extraordinary bearing. To serve merely as an attendant is truly a waste of talent. Xiao Boyan smiled faintly. It is no waste. To remain by the young lattice side is a blessing for this humble Wu. Hearing this, I suddenly felt my face flush and my heart race. Lin Jingyu nodded and said nothing more. The atmosphere grew awkward once more. Could it be that I truly had to accompany him all the way home? Only to be forcibly matched with him by my grandmother. I stole a glance at Xiao Boyan, who was following closely behind me, feeling uneasy. Unfortunately, he was still a convicted minister. Even if I were willing, the entire Jiang household would never consent. I truly felt nothing for this Lin Jingyu and genuinely didn't want to be forced into a match with him. As we drew closer to home, the situation only grew more complicated. My palms grew clammy with frustration as I pondered how to tactfully let Lin Jingyu know he shouldn't entertain any hopes. But then, Lin Jingyu suddenly stopped. Cousin Jiang. He looked at me, as if he wanted to say something, yet hesitated. My heart sank. What is it? In that moment, I truly feared he might suddenly declare he'd come to ask for my hand in marriage. Instead, he bowed to me. Cousin Jiang. After much thought, I feel I must speak plainly. He gritted his teeth and said, before coming to the capital, the Marquis of Pingan's household hinted they wished me to ask for your hand. However, Lin Jingyu feels unworthy of Cousin Jiang. And besides, I already have someone in my heart. It took me a long moment to process. What did he say? He doesn't like me. Lin Jingyu thought I was heartbroken. He apologized repeatedly while declaring his resolve. I know I've wronged Cousin Jiang, but I cannot betray the one I love, though she comes from a poor family and is a little mute. In my eyes she is the most wonderful woman. Even if offered a princess or a fairy, I would not trade her. In this life, I will marry no one but her. He loved a little mute girl. He wouldn't marry me. How could I blame him? I was too grateful for words. Overjoyed, I bowed to Lin Jingyu. Cousin Lin, I understand your feelings. I respect you and support you. They'll speak with grandmother properly. I'll never force you. Lin Jingyu gazed at me with surprise and delight. Thank you, Cousin Jiang. Your understanding nature will surely find you a worthy husband. I shan't enter the home mansion now. Farewell, Cousin Jiang. Ah, right, Cousin Jiang. Happy birthday. Thank you, Cousin Lin. Farewell. Lin Jingyu bowed deeply once more before departing with his old servant, his small steps brimming with excitement. That little mute boy truly has good fortune. A sudden pang of emotion welled up in my throat as I turned to look at Xiao Boyan. His eyes were filled with laughter. What's going on? Could it be that my bad luck ruined your perfect marriage? Humph. Pay up. No money. They'll compensate you with something else. He gazed toward the riverbank and snapped his fingers. In an instant, thunderous booms echoed as enormous fireworks exploded, dazzlingly bright, obscuring half the sky. A chorus of gasps rose from the street. Xiao Boyan gazed at me with a radiant smile, his eyes sparkling like scattered stars. Jiang Wu, happy birthday. This time, I truly wept. Sniffling, I asked him, when did you arrange this? At the south gate. When Lin Jingyu mentioned tonight was your birthday, I secretly had people prepare this. Damn, that's way too secretive. I had no clue. Thank you, Xiao Boyan. I threw myself forward and wrapped my arms around his waist. Xiaobi was utterly shocked. After all, a young lady embracing a man like that was quite scandalous. Miss, this is improper. She hurriedly pulled me away. The fireworks burned for a full cup of tea's time, drawing even those who had already retired to come out and watch. Such extravagance Xiao Boyan must have spent every last coin. After the sky faded, a night breeze swept through, carrying away the smoke. All returned to stillness, as if nothing had ever happened. Xiao Boyan murmured softly. Let's go back. All right. Reluctantly, I turned to leave. A squadron of Imperial Guards galloped past in the distance. I halted and asked Xiao Boyan, haven't they caught the assassin at the south gate yet? Probably not. Who was that assassin? His exact identity remains unknown, but witnesses suggest he might be a barbarian. A barbarian. I suddenly felt excited. Xiao Boyan looked at me, puzzled. You seem very pleased. Of course I'm pleased. I forgot to hide my excitement, blurting out. The court has enjoyed peace for over a decade and has long neglected defenses against the barbarians. With this incident as a warning, perhaps the court will finally take it seriously and strengthen Yanmen's defenses. He looked even more confused. What does that have to do with Yanmen? I froze, suddenly sobering up. Damn it, what was I saying? I stammered for a while before making up an excuse. I had a dream. I dreamt the barbarians breached Yanmen Pass, their armies marching straight to the capital, causing countless deaths and injuries, all because of a dream. Yes, after all, this is my homeland. I nodded vigorously. Then, tentatively, I asked Xiao Boyan, why won't you return to Yanmen? To guard the pass, to protect your homeland. He cut me off, his gaze icy. This is not my homeland. This land is not worth my protection. I froze. Suddenly I understood Empress Yan's death must have inflicted irreparable damage upon him. He felt no attachment to this entire nation. He had his own path. I needn't force anything. Where will you go now? Miaojiang. His gaze drifted to some distant point as he spoke softly. To my mother's homeland. The sky grew dim. A lone bird screeched, and the capital fell silent. He was returning to Miaojiang. I felt a pang of loss, yet there was nothing I could do. All right. I'm heading home. I waved at him and ran toward my house. By the time I arrived, it was already late. Strangely, Xiao Zhe hadn't left yet. He stood at the gate, exchanging half-hearted small talk with my household guards. Clearly, had been escorted here but refused to depart. My guards had talked themselves hoarse and were ready to give up on him. Seeing me, Xiao Zhe's eyes lit up. Then he glanced behind me. You're back. Why are you alone? Confused, I asked. What do you mean, Your Highness? He gave a cold laugh. Didn't you say you were going to fetch your cousin from the Lin family? Did you find him? How did the talks go? Is the marriage settled? He knew about that. Had he been lingering at my residence all this time just to witness my humiliation? That bastard. I rolled my eyes, retorting irritably. My cousin from the Lin family declined to come. He's returning to his hometown to marry his beloved. Xiao Zhe froze. Then his face lit up with delight. See, I told you, with your temper, no one would ever like you. What's there to be happy about? That dog of a crown prince just can't stand seeing me do well. Just as I was about to scold him, a soft, gentle voice suddenly reached my ears. Your Highness, it's hot today. This humble maiden has cut some watermelon. Would your Highness care to try some? I froze. Jiang Xiue. Wasn't she forbidden from leaving the small courtyard? Was she so afraid of being married off to just anyone that she'd resorted to desperate measures? I won't eat it. Xiao Zhe grinned at me, chattering incessantly. Jiang Wu, what are you going to do now? Nobody wants you. Maybe I should take pity on you, Your Highness. This melon is exceptionally sweet. Please try a bite. Her jade-like hand cradled the melon as she offered it to Xiao Zhe. The smile vanished instantly from his face. He turned to her with a sinister glare. Who are you? Jiang Xiue thought Xiao Zhe was finally acknowledging her. Lowering her eyes, she replied softly, This humble maiden is Jiang Xiue, the second granddaughter of the Marquis of Pingon. Jiang Xiue. The Marquis of Pingon has only one granddaughter. What sort of creature are you? Jiang Xiue froze, suddenly flustered. This humble maiden. You clueless fool. You've ruined my good mood. Jiang Wu. Keep your family in line. He glanced at me, then stormed off in anger. Strange. In this lifetime, he no longer favors Jiang Xiue. I bowed slightly to see him off, then turned to glare fiercely at Jiang Xiue. Who gave you permission to come out? You're an embarrassment. Jiang Xiue's eyes brimmed with unshed tears, her humiliation unspoken. Madame Jiang rushed out, feigning indignation as she scolded. Xiue, why did you come out? Quickly return with your mother. This Jiang household harbors evil spirits that devour people. I could tell she was speaking in veiled insults, but I couldn't be bothered to respond. I simply walked away. When I reported back to grandmother's quarters, she was combing her hair while my father attended to her. Oh my, Jiao Jiao, you're back. Why didn't you announce your arrival earlier? Look at the state I'm in. I quickly pressed her down. Grandmother, Brother Lin has something urgent and won't be coming. Why won't he be coming? It must be something important. Don't worry, Grandmother. And what do you think of Brother Lin? I feigned coyness. He's wonderful, Grandmother. Brother Lin and I need time to get to know each other properly. From now on, we'll speak when we meet. Please don't interfere anymore. Good. 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 Grandmother clapped her hands, overjoyed. I didn't tell her the truth right away. Before today, Grandmother had already pressured Lin Jingyu to marry me. If I told her he had someone else in his heart, given her temperament, she might force them apart. Better to keep it hidden for now. After Lin Jingyu finishes his exams and returns home to marry that little mute girl, then I'll tell Grandmother. My father suddenly asked, "Oh, did you see the crown prince when you came in?" I had nothing to say to him. I tried to see him off 3 times, but he lingered and lingered, unwilling to leave. I had no choice but to leave him standing at the door. So that's what happened. I couldn't help but chuckle. He left, probably just admiring the crabapple blossoms by our gate, wanting to linger a bit longer. The crown prince was truly peculiar today. As we spoke, a guard rushed in, announcing, "Master, an assassin caused a disturbance at the south gate just now. He's been captured. The ministry requests your presence for the interrogation." My father was startled. What assassin? Details are unclear, but they're said to resemble barbarians. How peculiar. The barbarians haven't troubled our court in over a decade. Why would they suddenly cause trouble in the capital now? I secretly rejoiced. This was the perfect opportunity to speak with father and suggest the court strengthen defenses against the barbarians. But before I could say anything, Grandmother had already seen through it. The barbarians have been quiet for years. Their sudden reappearance suggests major movements are afoot. Wooer, when you attend court tomorrow, you must earnestly urge His Majesty to be vigilant. Expand the army and guard against barbarian invasion. Truly, a marquis seasoned by years of warfare possesses keen insight. My father smiled. Yes, mother, there's no need for worry, even if you hadn't mentioned it. I would have presented this petition. Grandmother nodded. Very well. With so many ministers, what I foresee, they too may foresee. Go now. Father bowed respectfully before departing that very night to conduct interrogations. He did not arrive in time to question the assassins. Shortly after being imprisoned in the heavenly dungeon, those men bit poison capsules and took their own lives, though no information was extracted. Their identification as barbarians at least drew the court's attention. Some in court began advocating for expanding the military and strengthening Yanmen's defenses, though these were only minor maneuvers. They were better than nothing. We truly owed thanks to those assassins. Yet I couldn't help but wonder, in my previous life, had barbarian assassins also stormed the capital? If so, why had the court shown no reaction? After much pondering, I concluded that perhaps the court had responded in my previous life, but I'd been too preoccupied with becoming crown princess to notice. Troop reinforcements took half a month to assemble. Yet no suitable commander could be found. Our dynasty had enjoyed peace for so long that most had forgotten how to wage war. Father has been deeply troubled lately. This troubles me too, though I've never cared about outsiders. These days I've started inquiring which families have fierce sons, which have promising young men, hoping to meet them and persuade them to defend Yanmen Pass. Somehow, word of this reached Xiao Ze's ears. On my way home, he grabbed me and angrily demanded why I was flirting with every random man I met. I couldn't be bothered with such petty squabbles. Covering my ears, I ran off. A few days later, the Empress' birthday banquet was held in the palace, and our family was invited. I saw this as an opportunity. Though the court had shown some movement lately, it was only slight, not taken too seriously. The emperor now appeared to have abandoned belief in spirits and ghosts, but deep down, he remained deeply concerned. Otherwise, the witchcraft scandal involving consort Yan wouldn't have escalated so dramatically back then. Since I was entering the palace this time, I might as well weave a tale. Exaggerated a bit, perhaps the emperor would listen. On the day of the banquet, I dressed meticulously and entered the palace with my grandmother. We weren't the only family invited. Nearly all the families of officials ranked second grade or higher were present. I suspect the empress also intended to use this occasion to select a crown princess for Xiao Ze. Before the banquet began, seated at the front, I overheard the low murmurs of other noblewomen behind me. Is that Jiang Wu? I hear she's notoriously arrogant and lawless. Just the other day, she publicly assaulted someone. Really? You're just finding out now. She loves bullying people. Now she's infamous throughout the capital as the wicked woman. Remember Jiang Ziyue? She hasn't been seen out for days. Maybe Jiang Wu already killed her. Oh, how terrifying. I heard she's arranging a marriage recently. Whichever family marries her will be doomed. How outrageous. Probably those young ladies I beat up started the rumors. Seems my reputation as a villainess has spread far and wide. I sighed and lowered my head to eat the fruit. Suddenly, grandmother pressed my hand. Jiao Jiao, don't mind what others say. She gazed at me with tender eyes. Their opinions don't matter. It's enough that I know you're not that kind of person. Even if no one will marry you, they'll always cherish you. I froze. The world may deem me tainted, yet one person still believes in me, stands as my pillar. How fortunate I am. I curved my lips into a smile, hiding the glistening tears. After about half a cup of tea, the emperor and empress arrived. Once everyone had offered their respectful wishes for the empress' longevity, the festivities began. Drinking, revelry, and calling upon the daughters of each household to showcase their talents. I scanned the room but saw no sign of Xiao Boyan. Suddenly it dawned on Megaven his status. He likely wouldn't attend such gatherings. Xiao Ze, however, seemed bored, seated below the emperor and empress. He drank sullenly, paying no attention to the performances. His gaze kept drifting toward me. For a moment, I feared he might cause trouble, but he didn't. After downing 2 full jugs of wine, he vanished. Having eaten too many fruits, I soon felt the urge to relieve myself and excused myself from the banquet. Walking along the garden path, I suddenly heard Xiao Ze's voice, drunken and seemingly furious. "Don't stop me. I can still drink." A young eunuch beside him urged anxiously, "Your Highness, please return to rest. Going out like this is hardly proper. I am the crown prince. Who dares say I am improper? Tonight." She didn't even glance at me. Can you believe it? I must question her. Question who? Just as I was puzzling over this, the two of them collided right into me. Jiang Wu. Xiao Zhe spotted me, staggered over, and grabbed my wrist. "You. Why did you sneak out?" Startled, I hurriedly explained. "I needed to relieve myself." "Let go of me. Leave the palace." "Why?" "I forbid you to go." His eyes reddened with fury. "You've barely stayed an hour and already want to leave. Do you truly wish to avoid me?" I didn't know what possessed me, but I wrenched my hand free. "What nonsense are you spouting? Release me at once. You shall not leave. You dare defy the crown prince's command." He yanked me into his embrace like a rabid dog, biting viciously into my shoulder. The eunuch who followed him, terrified, rushed to intervene but was kicked aside. "Begone. Disobedience merits death." He clutched my wrists, dragging me toward the rockery. "Let go of me. Let go." Terrified, I screamed, but he pinned me against the rockery and tore my outer robe. He lowered his head, intent on kissing me. Utterly disregarding my desperate struggle, I couldn't break free and began to cry. "Please let me go. Xiao Zhe. Don't touch me. You. How dare you reject me?" His eyes were wild and tear-filled. "You swore you'd marry no one but me, then abandoned me. How dare you?" "Yes. I treated you badly before, but that was because I thought you were a spy sent by Mother. Now I know you're not." "Jiang Wu, why do you suddenly dislike me?" "You're mad. Let go. Let go." I screamed hoarsely, but he only intensified his assault, biting through my lip. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. The eunuchs outside dared not approach. I was utterly desperate. Suddenly, my hand brushed against a stone. Gritting my teeth, I resolved to go down together. Having already faced death once, what more was there to fear? I raised my hand, ready to fight to the death. But the crown prince suddenly took a blow to the head and collapsed. Tears rolled down my face as the scene before me cleared. Xiao Boyan. He took off his outer robe, wrapped it around me, and helped me up, his voice trembling softly. "It's me, inside the palace." There were special rooms for female attendants to change. His expression darkened as he dismissed the others and led me inside. "Wait here. I'll summon your maidservant to bring you clothes." Xiao Boyan. I grabbed his arm in panic. "The crown prince. Is he all right?" "You injured him. Won't they punish you?" He didn't answer. Clearly, he didn't know either. Choking back sobs, I asked him, "Why did you help me?" "Because you were in trouble." That wasn't an answer. Not at all. I seized his arm, staring at him, enunciating each word. "Xiao Boyan. Do you like me?" His expression remained calm. His fists clenched. Then, a faint sound emerged from his chest. So it's true. So it really is true. I truly didn't know whether I should be happy at that moment. "What do you like about me? Haven't you heard what people say outside? I'm the most vicious and cruel woman in the land." I heard them. Let me tell you, everything they say is true. I really am awful, and I love picking on people. He looked at me and smiled softly. "I just love the way you pick on people." I was stunned and quickly retorted, "You're twisted." This is a sick kind of love. You like it because I haven't picked on you yet. Then come pick on me. You're sick. 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 He laughed. Call me sick. Then, suddenly, he asked, why did you gather information on so many men the other day? Then invite them to the tea house. Were you choosing a husband for yourself? Of course not. I hurried to explain. I wanted to find capable, ambitious young men to persuade them to defend Yanmen Pass. He froze. Defend Yanmen. That's the court's concern. What business is it of yours? Yanmen is the gateway to the capital. If it falls, our home and nation will cease to exist. The fate of the realm is every commoner's responsibility. I cannot stand idly by. After a moment's silence, he said, it seems this matter is very important to you. Of course. This is my home. After speaking, I regretted it. Why did I tell him all this? He only harbors hatred for this place. Xiao Boyan smiled faintly. Saying nothing more, he simply said, go inside. Then he closed the door. About the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, Xiaobi and grandmother both rushed over. The empress followed shortly after. Given the gravity of the matter, they avoided alerting too many people. This affair was handled discreetly. The crown prince, having committed misconduct, was confined to the Eastern Palace for reflection. Though Xiao Boyan had saved me, his act of insubordination injuring the crown prince earned him 20 strokes of the cane. Once able to walk, he must leave the capital, never to return. The day after I returned to the mansion, Xiao Zhe regained consciousness. Though confined to the Eastern Palace, he sent word. His words were earnest and heartfelt, the letter brimming with remorse. He admitted his fault from yesterday, begging for my forgiveness. He also wrote that though his actions were rash, his words were sincere. I stopped reading and set the letter ablaze. Even without the injustices I endured in my past life, his behavior yesterday was unforgivable. Half a month after this incident, Xiao Boyan left the capital. The emperor, weary of him, ordered him to return swiftly to his Miao homeland. On the morning of his departure, I secretly went to the south gate to see him off, but I did not see him. I asked the gate guard, who then told me the 9th prince, Xiao Boyan, had departed through the north gate. Why the north gate? Isn't the southern gate the exit for the Miao homeland? The Miao homeland. The soldier scratched his head. Didn't they say he was heading to Yanmen? I froze for a moment, then sprinted toward the north gate, running until my lungs felt like they would burst. I finally caught up with the cavalry just as they were leaving the city. Xiao Boyan rode at the front, leading his retinue. I dashed forward, pushing through the crowd, and grabbed his horse. Xiao Boyan. He startled. Why are you here? They said you were going to Yanmen. He tightened his grip on the reins. Yes. Weren't you supposed to return to Miaojiang? Did they force you? No. I personally requested the emperor to let me garrison Yanmen. Why? His hand clenched the reins as he looked down at me, his eyes softening. He took a deep breath and said, because there's still someone here worth protecting. For that person, I'm willing to return to Yanmen. I froze, speechless for a long time. Jiang Wu, you must take care of yourself. Live safely, happily, and joyfully. He no longer looked at me. He pulled the reins tight and rode away. Xiao Boyan. I chased his shrinking figure through the dust, shouting, write to me when you arrive. Don't forget me. No reply came. Yellow sand swirled through the sky until he vanished from sight. Back home, grandmother was furious. Ah, Wu. Why did you go to see off that traitor? Do you have any idea how much suspicion this will bring upon the Jiang family? I listened silently to her scolding until she grew tired, then knelt and kowtowed. Grandmother, Wu knows she was wrong. Please punish me. Again. What punishment could I possibly give you? Tears fell from grandmother's eyes as she stepped down and embraced me. Awu. You are the Jiang family's only heir. How else could your grandmother show you love? Whether I scold you or lecture you, it's all for your future. Why won't you listen to your grandmother? I nestled against her chest and murmured, I know, grandmother. I know everything. If you know, then listen to your grandmother. Let her arrange everything for you. Wouldn't it be better to live a peaceful life? Yes. I nodded and hugged grandmother tightly. I resolved to obey her completely, never anger her again, and accept whatever she arranged. After that day, grandmother began arranging my marriage once more. I didn't know where Shed encountered Lin Jingyu, but upon learning he was returning home to marry the little mute girl, she immediately confronted me. I knelt before her with a thud. If I knelt fast enough, she wouldn't have time to get angry. Please don't trouble Lin Jingyu, Grandma. He has someone he loves. Let's find someone else. This time, she only sighed for a long while before letting me off. After fretting for a while, she decided to pick a suitable young man from another family. Just then, I unexpectedly received a letter from the north. The name on the envelope was Wu Xiaojiang. In an instant, I understood. Xiao Boyan had used a pseudonym to prevent the letter from being intercepted. I opened the envelope, and several unfamiliar flowers and herbs tumbled out, carrying a sweet fragrance. In the letter, Xiao Boyan described in detail what the Yen Gate was like, what its people ate, wore, and enjoyed doing in their daily lives. At the end, he wished me luck in finding a good husband, promising to send him a jar of wine when I married. I never imagined he'd actually write to me. Clutching the paper, I cried for a long time before hastily drafting a reply, urging him to write often. I then had someone smuggle it out. He received it, and later, he truly wrote often. He wrote to me about everything he ate each day, everything he saw, every detail, no matter how small. In the quiet, monotonous capital, he gave me something to look forward to, something to care about. This peaceful life was shattered in the 10th month, because the barbarian tribes launched a surprise attack on Yanmen. I didn't know the specifics of the battle, only that overnight, countless lives were lost. The emperor decided to abandon Yanmen Pass and relocate the capital southward. This meant Yanmen Pass would henceforth face an inescapable predicament. Enemy forces ahead and no reinforcements behind. I raced home like a madwoman, desperate to ask my father if it was true. When I arrived, everyone was already packing. Grandmother grabbed me and scolded, Jiao Jiao, you've worried your grandmother to death. Where did you run off to? Hurry and pack. We must depart before sunset. Grandmother, is the court truly relocating south? Grandmother sighed. The court has enjoyed decades of peace. With so little warfare, few remain skilled in battle. Confidence is low. The southern terrain, rugged and mountainous, is easy to defend but hard to attack. To save as many lives as possible, relocating the capital south is our only option now. I panicked. What about Yanmen? What about the people of Yanmen? What will become of them? Grandmother's eyes welled up, and she fell silent. Father sighed. To die for their country is the highest honor. They will be remembered forever. Who wants that damn honor? I cried. I want them alive. With courage surging through me like never before, I burst into tears and rushed outside. Jiao Jiao, where are you going? You wouldn't be going after that traitor, would you? Jiao Jiao. Grandmother nearly stumbled chasing after me. I turned back, tears streaming down my face, and kowtowed to her. Grandmother, forgive Jiao Jiao. I've been disobedient again. I rose to run, but guards blocked my path. I drew my blade and pressed it to my throat. Take one more step, and I'll slit my own throat right here. Grandmother, held back by my father, wept until she nearly fainted. Jiao Jiao, put it down. You're trying to kill grandmother. I'm sorry. He returned to Yanmen for me. If I go south, I'll never find peace for the rest of my life. No one dared approach. I seized a horse and charged straight for Yanmen, riding day and night, changing horses several times along the way. I finally reached Yanmen 10 days later. The horse stopped, and I collapsed, gasping for breath, nearly dead. A soldier approached to check on me but dared not let me enter the city. I could only grab his trouser leg and beg, "Tell Xiao Boyan Jiangwu seeks an audience." The soldier hurried inside. After a stick of incense burned, the city gates opened. The bloodstained general rushed toward me. Jiangwu. His hands trembled as he lifted me up, overwhelmed with joy, yet also furious. "What are you doing here? You were supposed to head south with them. Why did you come here?" I clenched my teeth, tears falling one after another. "Xiao Boyan, I came to die with you." His eyes instantly reddened. "Who said you had to die with me? If you refuse, they'll die right now." "Jiangwu, what am I supposed to do with you?" He held me tighter. The moment his scalding tears fell into the hollow of my neck, I knew I had come for the right reason. The defense at Yanmen Pass was dire. After the battle half a month ago, the forces were severely weakened, yet there was no time for rest. Xiao Boyan took me to the pass. Soldiers were repairing the ramparts. Just a few miles away, enemy tents stretched as far as the eye could see, their sheer density suffocating. With such a vast disparity in strength, Yanmen Pass might truly fall, but I wasn't afraid. At least in this life. Even if I died, I wouldn't die in vain. That night, I slept in Xiao Boyan's room. The weather had turned cold. After bathing, I shivered and crawled into the blankets. Xiao Boyan entered, not even bothering to remove his armor, and sat cross-legged on the floor beside the bed. "Aren't you coming up?" He kept his eyes closed, not even glancing at me. "Just go to sleep." "No." I nudged him with my foot, mimicking how Jiang Xiue had coaxed Xiao Zhe in my past life, and began to pout. "Boyan brother, I'm cold. I can't get warm enough to sleep." Xiao Boyan sighed softly, still not looking at me, and rose to leave. "Then I'll go get you a basin of charcoal fire." "No. Charcoal is precious. What a waste." "Brother Boyan, look. This bed is so big it's just right for 2 people. His ears flushed instantly. His Adam's apple bobbed as he forced himself not to turn back. "Oh, don't provoke me anymore. I'm afraid I might do something." "Do what?" I sat up and wrapped my arms around his waist. "I came here alone, already prepared to entrust my entire being to you." "Xiao Boyan, don't you understand?" His eyes snapped open. He turned to look at me, his gaze fierce like a beast. "Aren't you afraid you'll regret it later? My future is your future." "Xiao Boyan, you said you wanted me to take advantage of you, didn't you? Come, let me take advantage of you." "Oh, you're such a devil." His gaze lingered on my lips before he finally couldn't resist, leaning down to kiss me. What happened next goes without saying. Later, I donned a soldier's uniform and helped within the city walls. The barbarians launched attacks nearly every day, but each time, we held our ground, until mid-November, when a 1,000-strong barbarian force trekked through mountains and rivers, bypassed the pass, and struck our rear, severing our sole supply line. Yanmen finally became an isolated fortress. Xiao Boyan still fought desperately. As long as Yanmen held, the barbarian main force couldn't advance south, allowing more people within the pass to evacuate. He once said the lands beyond weren't worth defending, but now, he told me to rest assured. He said he would defend it for me until the very last moment, until his blood stained the city walls. By late November, arrows and grain exhausted, we truly could hold no longer. Starved to the point of blackness in my vision, I collapsed unconscious at the corner of the ramparts. I thought, I must surely be dying. Yet in the chaos, a voice suddenly rang in my mind. "Jiangwu, wake up, wake up. Don't just die like this." I murmured back, "Who are you?" "Who I am doesn't matter. Jiangwu, Wake up. Don't die. Your rebirth was bought by someone who repented for 10 years before the Earth Lord. Trading away 10 lifetimes of blessings. Don't die. Who? Who traded? I jolted awake, but the voice vanished. Pondering further, I couldn't recall if it had been a man's or a woman's voice. Trading 10 lifetimes of blessings for my rebirth. Who would do such a thing? The voice mentioned 10 years of repentance. So that person felt guilty toward me. The crown prince's face flashed through my mind. It couldn't be him. How could he regret? Bad luck. Probably just a dream. I pushed the thought aside and climbed the city wall to find Xiao Boyan. We sat on the ground together, enduring another night. The next day, we truly couldn't endure any longer. Sitting atop the city wall, we watched the barbarian tribes launch another assault against us. His hands were nearly lifeless, trembling violently as he gripped his sword. Fortunately, we weren't going to fight the enemy. Instead, we were taking our own lives, to avoid the shame of falling into the barbarian's hands. Regret. No regret. He smiled and kissed my forehead. Oh, to die with you in this life is my greatest fortune. He raised his hand, the sword pressed against his throat. I too picked up my dagger, ready to join him in death. The setting sun bled red. The bugle call shook the heavens. We exchanged a final smile, then closed our eyes. But at that critical moment, a soldier's cry suddenly pierced the air from behind. General, reinforcements. Reinforcements have arrived. Xiao Boyan and I snapped our eyes open. Disbelieving, we turned urgently to look behind us. Dust swirled thick in the sky. In the distance, thousands upon thousands of cavalry charged toward the pass. Xiao Boyan and I rushed down the ramparts to meet them. As the cavalry drew nearer, I saw a majestic white-clad general leading the charge. My vision blurred, unable to make out his face, until the white-clad general cried out hoarsely, "Jiao Jiao, Jiao Jiao, grandmother." Thinking I was dreaming, I staggered toward her. She dismounted and rushed toward me. Her face splattered with blood, her features barely recognizable. Only hot tears carved 2 white streaks across her cheeks. She embraced me, sobbing uncontrollably. "Jiao Jiao, grandmother has come. Why are you so thin? Nothing but skin and bones. It's all grandmother's fault for not mustering the troops sooner. My Jiao Jiao has suffered so much. Grandmother, it really is you." I sobbed, returning her embrace. "Grandmother, why did you come? You're old and frail, how could you endure such hardship?" "I may be old," she replied. "But have you forgotten who I am? I am the Lady Marquis who drove the barbarian tribes 1,000 miles away. Even if I'm nothing but skin and bones, I can still fight." She said no more, pushing me toward Xiao Boyan. "Take good care of my granddaughter." Then she swung herself onto her horse and bellowed, "Open the gates. Meet the enemy." The clamor of battle shook the heavens, as the clash of steel and the clatter of hooves filled my ears. I watched grandmother's spear pierce through the yellow sand. Unstoppable in her charge, this battle raged for a full day. Grandmother led her men once more, driving the barbarians hundreds of miles back. I heard that among the enemy ranks, veteran soldiers who saw grandmother could scarcely believe she was the legendary female general. Mistaking her for a divine apparition, they dropped their weapons and fled in terror. Over 30 years ago, the female general's furious slaughter of the barbarians became a revered myth. And today, that myth descended once more upon Yanmen Pass. Yanmen was saved. The capital was saved. After this battle, the displaced citizens gradually returned to the capital, and naturally, the imperial court relocated back as well. Yet remnants of the barbarian tribes remained, so Xiao Boyan could not leave. Henceforth, he would remain at Yanmen to guard it forever. Grandmother, exhausted from the prolonged battle and with her old wounds flaring up, could not leave either, with my insistence on staying at Yanmen to be with Xiao Boyan. She truly had no choice but to remain. She had fiercely opposed our union at first, but then Xiao Boyan knelt at her door for 3 days, pleading for her to grant me to him. Only then did grandmother's heart soften, and her opposition ceased. Later, seeing how genuinely kind Xiao Boyan was to me, she finally felt at ease. She resolved to personally oversee our wedding arrangements. As for herself, she declared she would not return to the capital. She said her husband was buried at Yanmen Pass, and when her time came, she wished to be laid to rest there as well. Before the spring festival, the emperor issued an imperial edict commending Xiao Boyan. No longer a criminal, he was in theft as the Prince of Yan, granted a fiefdom of 5,000 households. Before marrying him, I had prepared myself to be a criminal's wife. Instead, I became a princess consort. Not long after the edict was issued, my father arrived at Yanmen with Xiaobi. I couldn't tell what had happened, but my father's hair had turned white, and he looked utterly disgraced. Upon asking, I learned that my stepsister, Jiang Ziyue, fearing she couldn't marry well, had secretly seduced the crown prince of the Prince of Xian and climbed into his bed. Now, she's been taken into the prince's household not even as a secondary consort. The prince's wife is tyrannical. Not only does she oppress Jiang Ziyue every other day, but she also frequently goes to the Jiang residence to harass my father, demanding he take Jiang Ziyue back. Unable to endure it, my father simply fled to Yanmen to seek peace and quiet. I couldn't help but sigh. Jiang Ziyue hadn't changed a bit. In my previous life, she had climbed into Xiao Ze's bed and become a favored secondary consort. This time around, her luck wasn't quite as favorable. I married in the spring. That day, I received several cartloads of fine wine. It was Xiao Ze himself who sent them. Knowing I didn't wish to see him, he didn't enter the house. Instead, he spent the night drinking alone in a small tower within the city. The next day, without a word of farewell, he spurred his horse back to the capital. In the second year of our marriage, I became pregnant. By then, grandmother's health had deteriorated further, confining her to bed for long stretches. Sensing her time was short, she began sewing baby clothes the very day she learned of my pregnancy. Not knowing whether it was a boy or girl, she sewed for both, working day and night until the room was piled high. No amount of persuasion could stop her. That spring, my grandmother's life burned out. She passed away before her great-grandchild was born. I cried as I tried to feed her water, but not a single drop would go down. Grandmother, I begged, please get better. You haven't held your great-grandchild yet. My tears fell onto her face. She clutched the needle and thread tightly. Her lips parted, and a faint voice emerged. Jiao Jiao. Grandma can't sew the doll's clothes anymore. You must sew them yourself. You still have a lifetime ahead. She then looked at Xiao Boyan. Prince Yan, take good care of her. I will always watch over you from beyond. Xiao Boyan's eyes turned crimson. He knelt, clasped her hand, and vowed. Rest assured, grandmother, I will protect her. She shall never suffer the slightest injustice. Grandmother smiled. Then she turned to me. Jiao Jiao. Don't cry. It breaks grandmother's heart. Don't cry. Grandmother is very happy. Her withered hand brushed my cheek. A single tear fell from the corner of her eye. Her voice seemed to fall into an abyss, growing fainter and fainter. Yet the moment I caught it, it struck like thunder from a clear blue sky. Jiao Jiao. Grandmother is leaving now. In my past life, I failed to protect you, and you left before me. In this life, seeing you happy and safe is enough for me. So very enough. I froze for a moment, then frantically grabbed her hand, demanding, Grandma, what did you say? What did you say? Grandma, Grandma. Her consciousness was fading. Her voice came in broken whispers as hot tears rolled down her face. Jiao Jiao. Grandmother saw you leap from the city wall with my own eyes. My heart is shattered. Jiao Jiao. You must live well. She exhaled her final breath and fell silent. I understood who had taken my place in rebirth. But she would never wake again. Yanmen would have no more female generals, only endless spring. The end.